Alright, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to explore the fascinating hero's journey of Dundee United. We're going to do this by comparing two incredibly defining yet completely different eras in the club's history. We'll look at the absolute ultimate high of the early 1980s and contrast that directly with the gritty, determined revival of the modern day.
To truly understand this club's pedigree, we actually have to start at their absolute pinnacle and ask a pretty massive question. How do you break a century-old duopoly? Seriously, how does a team overcome the seemingly impossible resources of Glasgow giants like Celtic and Rangers? It's a question that literally defines Scottish football, and miraculously, Dundee United actually answered it.
Section 1. Shattering the Old Firm, the 1982-83 peak. This is that legendary season where Dundee United finally broke the Glasgow stronghold. Now, the absolute most important number from that entire era is just a single solitary digit, 1. That was the exact margin of victory, just 1 point, that delivered Dundee United their first and to this day only Scottish Premier Division title. Just 1 point separating immortal glory from, well, just another strong season. It was a remarkably tense three-way championship race. Dundee United finished with 56 points, barely edging out both Celtic and Aberdeen, who were tied right behind them at 55. Every single pass, every tackle across that grueling campaign mattered on the final day. And they peaked at the exact perfect moment. In March, they pulled off a massive 2-1 away triumph over a really fierce Aberdeen squad. Then, in April, a crucial 3-2 defeat of Celtic completely cleared the path. It all culminated in May with a 2-1 title-clinching victory over their city rivals, Dundee, right at Dens Park. Goals from Paul Sturrock and Ralph Milne sealed that historic win. They didn't stumble over the finish line. They absolutely sprinted through it.
Section 2. The Kings of 1983. Efficiency meets excellence. So, how exactly did manager Jim McLean pull this off?
20. That's it. Incredibly, they achieved this monumental triumph using a remarkably tight squad of just 20 players. Think about that for a second. Through a brutal 36-match campaign, battling wealthier clubs on all fronts, McLean relied on just 20 men to pull off a miracle. Talk about extreme efficiency. These are the names forever etched in history. You've got Jim McLean orchestrating the brilliance from the dugout, unleashing a terrifying attack with Davy Dodds netting 22 league goals alongside Ralph Milne's 16, and Paul Sturrock coming up huge on the final day. And all of this was anchored by Dave Narey, a defensive rock who simply refused to crack under the relentless pressure of the old firm. They played with immense attacking flair, scoring a staggering 90 goals, which actually tied for the league's highest with Celtic. But the true foundation of those champions was at the back, conceding only 35 goals all season. You just don't topple empires without world-class defensive solidity.
Section 3. A fall from grace, the modern relegation reality. Because the harsh reality of sports is that glory is cyclical.
Let's fast forward to May 2023, exactly 40 years after their greatest triumph. The club hit rock bottom. Dundee United dropped down to the Scottish Premiership, relegated from the top flight following a devastating final day defeat to Motherwell. From Kings of Scotland to dropping out of the top tier entirely. Which poses a pretty universal question. How do you rebuild when you've hit rock bottom? It shifts our focus to how a club honors its historic pedigree when faced with the gritty, totally unglamorous reality of the championship grind.
Section 4. The 2024 Revival, fighting back in the championship. Here, manager Jim Goodwin faced the ultimate test.
Despite the sting of relegation, Goodwin stayed on to orchestrate an immediate rebirth. A new generation stepped up. You had Lewis Mould's clinical finishing, bagging 18 league goals, and Tony Watt's vital veteran presence. With Kai Fotheringham creating in midfield and Kevin Holt locking down the defense and handling penalties, they rolled up their sleeves to claw their way back up the Scottish football ladder.
And the momentum built so steadily throughout the season. They kicked things off with a 4-0 statement win in August against Arbroath, completely thrashed them 6-0 later in October, and by December, a crucial 3-0 win over Partick Thistle proved they meant absolute business. They ended with a 4-1 promotion clincher in May, again against Partick Thistle. Their command of the division was absolute. Finishing with 75 points, Dundee United sat a very comfortable 6 points clear of Raith Rovers at 69 and way ahead of Partick Thistle at 55. They dominated with 22 wins and an ironclad defense to clinch promotion as outright champions. Section 5. 2 eras, 1 spirit. The anatomy of a champion. When we place these 2 wildly different eras side by side, we find a shared DNA of success.
First, the managerial masterminds. You have Jim McLean in 1983 breaking the old firm duopoly with a tight squad of underdogs. Then, Jim Goodwin in 2024 embracing the intense pressure of a relegated club to rebuild and immediately restore top-flight status. Both managers faced immense, yet entirely different pressures, proving that exceptional, clear-headed leadership is absolutely non-negotiable.
And notice the reliance on a singular, prolific talisman in both eras. Whether it was Davy Dodds battling the old firm with 22 goals, or Louis Moult tearing through championship defences with 18, every great revival needs that one player who delivers when the pressure is highest.
Regardless of the era or the tier of football, the championship formula never changed. The 83 champions boasted a plus 55 goal difference, scoring 90 and conceding 35. The 2024 champions hit a plus 50, scoring 73 and conceding just 23. An overwhelming attack driven by absolute defensive solidity. That's the timeless blueprint for winning leagues.
Which brings us to the core theme of this explainer: resilience, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. Ultimately, while 1983 was about reaching the absolute peak of the mountain and shocking the world, 2024 was a masterful demonstration of resilience and the grueling, unforgiving effort required to climb back up after falling off. They reclaimed their top-flight status exactly 1 year after dropping out.
So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. Is a club defined by the heights it reaches or by how it rises after a fall? Because as we've seen, a true footballing legacy is forged not just in moments of historic, unimaginable glory, but in the gritty, relentless spirit of survival and revival. It's about what you do when the chips are down. Thank you for joining me as we unpack the incredible journey of Dundee United.